I am Anthony from HaslageNet, and this video serves as the introduction to the basics of 3 different trading card games. 2 of these games have their roots in Wizards of the Coast, a company better known for Magic the Gathering. The other game ended up being licensed through Upper Deck Entertainment until an unauthorized card production scandal forced the license owners to take the game in-house. These games all have some commonalities, however. They each have had comic books and or manga, movies, television shows, toys, and video games made that were based upon them, and at the time of this video series recording, each are still going strong. When we return, we will discuss the trading card game basics of one of these games. You can find all of the basic information for each game in its instruction manual. The links will be included in each video's description. Welcome back. So we're now here with Yu-Gi-Oh!, the trading card game. And as with most anybody else, the cartoon/anime is what made me familiar of it. And I started collecting the cards thinking that is how you played the game, and it is not. You cannot just summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon and then tribute 3 of them to summon a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon on turn 1. It just, I don't even think there's a way to do that without maybe a Cyberstein or something. It is not possible. But, you know, we did it because we didn't know any better. And so we're going to go over the basics of these cards real quick. So we're going to start with this Blue Eyes White Dragon. He is a normal card. This is his name. His attribute is Light. He has 8 levels, or 8 stars, which is a star level. He is a dragon type. This is some flavor text. His attack is 3,000. His defense is 2,500. Now, you might be asking, where does this rank in between Pokemon and Magic? It is actually right in the middle. There's a lot of shorthand, but not so complicated that maybe you won't get it right away. Pokemon doesn't deal in shorthand, but Magic deals with a lot of shorthand, which is probably why there's so few kids playing Magic versus Pokemon. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is right in the middle. Their recommended age is somewhere in the late single digits, early teens. Essentially, you need to know some basic math. People count a couple 10,000. Anyway, this is King of D. He is a dark attributed with 4 star levels. He's spellcaster. He's effect. Then he has his ability here. It's not really important what it does. Attacks 1,200, defense 1,100. I mean, this guy just basically special summons things. Her relevant effect, he's just an effect card. This, what I'm showing you here is an effect card. So then I have another effect card. This is Kaiba Man. He's a light attribute, 3 levels, warrior effect. His is specifically tribute this card, special summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon from your hand. Attack is 200, defense is 700. Now I mentioned him specifically because Blue Eyes cannot just be put on the field. Okay, Blue Eyes requires 2 tributes of a level 4 or less monsters, typically. 2 Kaiba Mans would be fine. But Kaiba Man ability says, well, yeah, you can do 1 less if you just use, just sacrifice him, and you can bring out Blue Eyes from your hand. Okay, whatever. It's fine. Okay. So then, these are monster cards. Yu-Gi also has spell cards. Now, they used to be called... I'm going to have to move stuff over. They used to be called Magic cards. I'm not quite sure it was an issue with Wizard or something, but they call them spell cards now. And so Poly Duality is it says excavate, or otherwise look at top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand, put the rest into your deck, shuffle, and you only play 1 pot of duality turn. Typically when you play these cards, they're 1 use and they're done. That's it. Nothing special about it. You move on with your life. You're good to go. Okay. So Book of Moon. This is also a spell card, but this is what is called a quick play. You typically play this on your opponent's turn. It needs to... typically you need to open space on your field. You can play from your hand, or if it's on your field face down, then you can do it that way. Target one face-up monster on the field. Change that target to face-down defense. It's a good way of stopping your opponent from attacking with a specific monster if you can't defend yourself. It could be a lifesaver, it could be a game saver, whatever. Okay, so Mountain is what you call a field spell. As you see, here's some magic here. This is an older card. It provides an additional attack and defense bonus of 200 for dragons, winged beasts, and thunder types. So that would make Blue Eyes here 3,200 attack and 2,700 defense. It's a pretty nifty card if you're just looking to bolster all dragons in a dragon deck, which this is obviously all from. So Dragon's Rebirth is a trap card. And in this case, it says target one face-up dragon type monster you control and banish that card. So that would be moved from play to special summon one dragon type monster from your hand or graveyard. In this case, it's built for specifically Blue Eyes. The goal of this deck is to just get a bunch of Blue Eyes out to bring out the big Blue Eyes monsters. So Dragon's Rage is what's called a continuous, which is the infinity symbol is continuous. When dragon type monsters you are on your side of the field attack, and the attack is higher than defense, then their difference in damage is applied. So essentially, let's say Kaiba Man was in defense mode, and Blue Eyes attacked Kaiba Man. Blue Eyes attack is 3,000, Kaiba Man's defense is 700, the difference would be 2,300, the opponent would take 2,300 damage. Now keep in mind that each opponent starts with 8,000 life points, and what you're doing is attacking monster to monster or directly to the opponent to chip away at those life points. So any way to do that is a faster way to win the game. So then we have an extra deck. And now keep in mind, I'm not showing you every card because of course there's pendulums and rituals, and then there's equip spell cards which you can attach for bonuses to any of these monsters, and then of course there's counter traps, and then you get into advanced things like spell speeds and chain linking, and it's nuts. But so this guy here is a fusion monster. He says he requires 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons, and then he has all these abilities, and his attack and defense is the same as the Blue Eyes. So, you know, that's pretty nifty. Of course, this is an Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. He is a Synchro monster who requires a tuner, which is a special type of monster. And then one more non-tuner that's a normal monster. Again, this is a normal monster, so him and a tuner maybe. He gets 2,500 attack and 3,000 defense, but his ability is what makes up the difference, is why you would want him on your field. But he, he's a nifty little guy because he does some special summoning. So this guy is an Exceed monster, spelled XYZ. He requires 2 level 3 monsters. If I had 2 Kaiba men, I would put them on top of each other, put this guy on top of them, and they become Exceed material, XYZ material. And for each one I would detach, I would gain 500 attack. Up until I detach both of them, I could attack my opponent directly, which would be 2,500 damage if I could. Otherwise, it would just be 2,000 attack, and he wouldn't be able to attack directly once those materials are gone. Again, we're getting some advanced mechanics here, but I'm trying not to get too complicated here, because the idea is to get you to want to play the game. And again, you can find the instructions in the description below, so don't forget that. So one of the newest things they're doing is link monsters. This is a verse type. So the subverse type says 2+ effect monsters. These are effect monsters. And then it gains 500 attack for each monster it points to. See these arrows? It's pointing to these 2 here, you know. And when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card or effect you control, you contribute one of the monsters the card points to. So up, down, you know, here. And negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. So nifty, right? And here's the funny thing about the link monsters. If he's up in the special shared zone, he's pointing at your opponent's monster. I believe you can destroy that opponent's monster, so that's pretty sweet, right? Because he should be pointing down to your monsters. So, but essentially that is the basics of Yu-Gi-Oh! In a nutshell, because what you're doing is taking monsters and hitting them and hoping your attack is higher than their attack, and then the damage difference is what you or your opponent take until your life points are down to 0. And if you can figure out a strategy to do that on the regular, and then good on you. Organized play for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is pretty competitive. Pokemon is a little bit more casual. Magic is a little bit more competitive. But it's a nice mix of both for Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's worth taking up if you like the option of both. But definitely check it out. Again, book list information is in the description. And thanks for watching.
Thank you for checking out our content. Before you leave, please remember to click like and then subscribe. If you want to receive notifications, do not forget to enable them by clicking on the bell. Then afterwards, check out our social media at HaslageNet and our website at HaslageNet.